So let's bring it back up to the podium. Is there anyone up here at the dais who would like to speak to this motion? We do have a motion on the floor. Mr. Knight?
Yes. Would like to add a few things, given that we've heard from Mr. Corey that he has a lawsuit that he may or may not put on here. There are some things that I would like to have on the record of why this, and I have cleared it with our city attorney rep. So let me just go back and reiterate that while when I started this whole process back in September, my major concern was that the clubs had more rights to open up than the neighbors had to have their voice heard, rather they wanted them in their neighborhood. And it was strictly to give them that right. As we studied more and more, found out that the model that opened, that we approved in April of 2014 for Club 64 was no longer the model that was being followed. In fact, I went back and I watched the entire 2 hours of that video from when council voted and approved marijuana consumption clubs as similar rights, and repeatedly through that process it was stated there would be no sales. It is evident today that sales are going on in the clubs. I have here just some quips of where it said rare look inside a Colorado Springs Cannabis Club by the Gazette on March 16th, and where Mr. Jamin Johnson discusses how he sells to accommodates tourists that come into the club that they know they needed to bring their own cannabis, and the club would have some cannabis on hand to make it more convenient for the tourists. In a Fox News report, one club owner said they followed the rules for the first year, but when the tourists started buying pot from drug dealers who posted up outside of their club, they declared, but when tourists started buying pot from drug dealers who posted up outside of their club, they decided to start selling small amounts of marijuana to be consumed only in the club so that the danger of drug dealers would go away. And I'm assuming this is also Mr. Johnson, and this is very similar to what he told me when we met in my office probably about a month or so ago now. There are things that we attempted to avoid, so taking on the responsibility, much like you do, see in a bar, we were able to do that. We were able to monitor the rate of consumption so that someone who was too inebriated, we were better able to control that, says a Speakeasy Cannabis Club owner, Jamin Johnson. And it goes on then to quote me that, again, I'm saying that was against it. Other conversations in here, Cannabis Gazette Club's League Community Cleanup on KOA on March 21st. On the top of the sunny weather, good cause, and free lunch, volunteers were rewarded with free marijuana. So you're getting clubs now that are passing out free marijuana.
Stop. Please, go ahead.
And it goes on to say, if we can give weed away and people are out there willing to help and clean up our communities, why not give a free joint? And the same thing on Fox News. Mr. Pacheco rolled up 300 joints to hand out. He added 7 other cannabis clubs are offering it in there. I want to go back and remind everybody, the question in this outburst was asked so that is legal. I'm not a lawyer, but I'll take exception to that. I mean, back in 2013, in the summer of 2013, when we as council opted out of recreational sales, we actually opted out of all 4 recreational variances that were possible. We opted out of recreational sales, we opted out of recreational testing, we opted out of recreational manufacturing, and we opted out of recreational commercial grows. And so we did all 4 of those opted out, not just out of recreational sales. And reading our Article 18, Section 16, which is the language that is now in our Constitution, Amendment 64, that talks about what a person can do. Does not, it only says they can pass out to another person if it's less than an ounce, but they cannot walk around carrying more than an ounce on it. Not one individual can walk around on doing all that. And then when you go into paragraph 4, lawful operations of marijuana-related facilities that allow the manufacturing, testing, product, it says only if we're selling to other marijuana facilities, and it specifically says in here to licensed agent or marijuana facility and not for sale to individuals. And that's strictly, and then for the sale of individuals, you have to have that license, and it gave us the right to opt out, and we did that. So again, on the advice of the attorney, I wanted to get that on the record.
Thank you.